Well, we hope you've been enjoying your Saturday so far. We're going to bring in meteorologist Simone Thomas. Simone, the Capitol is now lit. It is officially Christmas in a sense. We've been listening to the fireworks down here in downtown Little Rock. A beautiful day to be outside, Simone, if you say so myself.
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of cloud cover, but it did generally feel like it's almost Christmas, as cool as it's been. Now, some of our neighbors across the state were able to see a little more sunshine than others. We've been really hanging on to those low-level clouds across the central third of the state. The shading of the cloud cover is pretty close to that background, but that indicates how close to the surface those clouds are now. Through the overnight hours, we'll continue to see mainly cloudy skies. I think after midnight, we could even start to see the development of some fog with those wind speeds calming down. Here's a look at that fog tracker. By the time we check in at 10, some of north central Arkansas could be picking up on some fog. After midnight, that starts to pick up across central and southern Arkansas. By sunrise tomorrow, could see some pretty dense fog across the state like we saw this morning. Looks like that'll hold steady through late morning, and then we'll talk about the rest of the day and the week ahead in your 7-day outlook, so make sure you stick around.
All right, Simone, thank you. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth spent Saturday in California at a National Defense Forum where he reiterated that the administration is intent on finding and sinking drug-running boats bound for the U.S. Now, this comes as Hegseth remains under scrutiny for his role in a September boat strike in the Caribbean. CBS News' Willie James Inman has more.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth delivered the keynote address at the Reagan National Defense Forum on Saturday, pledging a commitment to bolster an arsenal of freedom and vowing to take on drug runners.
Here we've been clear: if you're working for a designated terrorist organization and you bring drugs to this country in a boat, we will find you and we will sink you. Let there be no doubt about it.
His remarks come as lawmakers from both parties have questions about Hegseth's role in multiple strikes on a suspected drug boat in the Caribbean in September. Sources tell CBS News that unreleased footage shows 2 survivors of the initial boat strike waving overhead before the U.S. struck again, killing both of those men. One source saying that the actions could have been interpreted as a plea for help or an attempt to wave off another attack.
What I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've seen in my time in public service. You have 2 individuals in clear distress, without any means of locomotion, with a destroyed vessel, who are killed.
Republican Tom Cotton defended the strikes.
I saw 2 survivors trying to flip a boat loaded with drugs bound for the United States back over so they could stay in the fight.
Earlier this week, President Trump supported Hegseth in the wake of a Pentagon report that concluded Hegseth violated Pentagon rules on handling classified information and could have endangered troops by sharing details about an impending strike on Yemen over an unapproved messaging app. Willie James Inman, CBS News, Washington.
A new wave of state laws are set to take effect January 1st, impacting taxes, public benefits, law enforcement, and health care. Since it's been a minute since the General Assembly session, here's a reminder of some of those. Act 948 bans state agencies from hiring, quote, unauthorized aliens. Act 708 changes an unemployment benefits law that requires a person receiving benefits to report at least 5 work search contacts weekly. One of the most noticeable changes is Act 1008, and it removes the last portion of the state's grocery sales tax, though local taxes remain. Now, our digital content team has a full list. You can go check out all of those changes at THV11.com. You've heard a lot about tariffs since President Trump took office, but could they actually affect your holiday shopping? For one Hot Springs resident, they have already made an impact. THV11's Carter Thweet joins us in studio to tell us what we can expect.
It arrived and I got a notice that I had to pay a $30 tariff. And at first I thought it was a scam.
But it wasn't for Diana Hampo of Hot Springs, who ordered a specific type of wide-angle camera lens for her son for Christmas. It shipped from Belgium, but once it got to Arkansas, she couldn't get it until she paid extra to UPS.
I felt like it was kind of sneaky, almost duplicitous, because when I ordered the lens, there wasn't anything about a tariff.
One University of Central Arkansas professor wasn't surprised by the story. Jeremy Horpedal teaches economics and says tariffs, which are an extra charge on goods coming from another country, can be felt in a variety of ways.
One of the major initiatives of the Trump administration is to increase tariffs in a lot of different ways. Some of which are kind of hidden, but some which consumers are really starting to actually see on the goods they buy.
And Horpedal says there was one executive order in August that could really affect your Christmas shopping. Previously, an item had to cost $800 or more to get hit with a tariff, but President Trump got rid of that minimum, saying it would halt the flow of illegal drugs across the border.
Now, all goods are going to face a tariff, whether they're $1,000 goods or $50 goods. And in some cases, the seller might add that into the price.
That includes Hampo's $50 camera lens. Horpedal suggests combing through websites to find their tariff policy before you buy. Or you could go with Hampo's new solution.
The moral of the story is shop local. You know, if I had walked into the camera shop downtown, found my lens, I would have known exactly how much it cost.
Arkansans are coming together once again for one of the state's longest running holiday traditions. The Bob Robbins Memorial Toy Hill Drive is back for its 53rd year. Nearly 23,000 toys will be collected to make sure every child wakes up to a gift on Christmas morning. Arkansans gathered on 300 Monroe Street between War Memorial Stadium and the zoo, dropping off new unwrapped toys while enjoying hot cocoa, food, and free pictures with Santa. The Marine Corps was also on site as part of Toys for Tots, continuing their decades-long mission to give back to families across the country.
The military as a whole, you know, our job is to protect the nation, but to be able to come out here and do something different, to give back to the communities that we can help out in the areas that we're at is something that we cherish and we hold dear, and the Marine Corps is very proud to have the Toys for Tots organization.
Volunteers say this is one of their biggest events of the year, bringing the community together not only to donate, but to celebrate the holiday spirit. Toy Hill ended tonight at 6 p.m., but there's more events scheduled tomorrow with parades and more family fun.
I love the music, and I love it, and the candy.
Smiling faces, bright eyes, and children soaking in every moment of the season. That's how the big Little Rock Holiday Parade kicked off downtown this afternoon. The Little Rock Holiday Parade was held today about 2 o'clock, and this year's theme was Candy Cane Lane. And they filled the streets with bright lights and festive floats. The parade route started at Broadway and West Markham, then it made its way east along Markham, wrapping up near I-30. Before the first float even moved, though, families packed into the State House Convention Center for holiday activities.